Good evening and welcome to the Sports Locker. On tonight's episode, she's no stranger to the show. She's the #1 world-ranked player for the seniors in pickleball. She's also co-founder of Game Changer, and she's now an author. A warm welcome to Lee Whitwell. Lee, thank you so much. Back for Christmas, as we're used to seeing you.
Absolutely.
Have you enjoyed the Christmas period?
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been fantastic. You know, anytime you get to spend with family and the Christmas vibe in Gib, it's very different. You know, like we were talking earlier about anywhere else in the world. So it's special coming home for Christmas.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. You've been busy for GBC. We saw you in Gibraltar today as well with Robin. Now on the Sports Locker doing all the usual stops when you come around. Tell us, a lot has changed since you were last here. You know, co-founder of Game Changer, now an author. Let's start with the book because that's quite recent.
Yeah, the book was something. I'd written an article for my newsletter and then somebody had contacted me. And it did the rounds. It went quite viral. And then somebody contacted me and said, have you ever thought about turning this into a book? And I was like, well, that seems like a lot of effort. And a lot of sitting down in front of the laptop. But I was like, well, let me give it a go. And obviously I'm someone who's never short on words. So started writing it and got into it, and you know, and obviously pickleball is the theme, but it's not a how to play pickleball. It's not anything like that. It's about I did my master's in psychology, and you know, studied Ray Oldenburg quite a bit, and he talks about the third space that we exist in. Right, we have a work life, we have a home life. What is that third space that creates a community for us? Right, and as we get older, we lose that third space. So it touches on that, and pickleball in the States especially has given people that third space back into their lives.
And that's pretty much the title, no? The third space effect, how pickleball became the space we belong.
Right.
So a lot of work gone into that, I imagine.
Yeah, it did, but it was it's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not so much. I'm fortunate that I have a platform. I'm fortunate that I get to compete professionally, but what keeps me coming back to the sport is the community side of it, the recreational side of it. There's 10 million players that play in the States. Yeah. And what the communities, and you know, also it's like when we're little we play. As we get older, play takes, you know, a back seat, and it's frowned upon. And pickleball's brought back play in people's lives, and it's given them that sense of community, that sense of belonging, which as humans, that's something we all want and crave for, right? Is to be seen and to feel like we're a part of something.
Have you been finding it hard to find the balance with how consistent you still are as a professional player, but now how consistent you are with work outside of the court as well, with coaching, with Game Changer events as well?
I'm probably a workaholic. It's terrible. Yeah, you know, I have a full tournament schedule. I'm fortunate that it's 2026 this year. We start a little later. Normally, I would have already started this coming weekend, but it's been pushed. Everything's been pushed to the middle of February, so we've got a nice stretch off. So I can really knuckle down and concentrate to work. But otherwise, it's balancing work. And then it's like if I'm gone for a tournament, I'm back for a couple of days, then we're gone for an event. Yeah. And Game Changer came about that third space as well, because and primarily it's female focused, especially the over 40 woman. And it's like letting her have a space to exist and play and all that. But 40% of the stuff we do is co-ed also. So we don't discriminate.
I was going to say, like, you mentioned that this kind of focuses on the senior pro side of things. I mean, pickleball, I suppose it's fair to say that the USA is the biggest for pickleball.
I mean, there's other countries coming up.
Well, I was going to mention India because you're soon going to India. Well, you probably will be in India by the time this episode airs. Tell us a bit about that project coming along. You're, I believe, the only female coach that's been called up to go to India and coach a professional team there. Yes,
correct. So it's World Pickleball League. And they've got 8 teams, and there was a draft, and you put your name in for a coach selection. I got picked, fortunately, and then I had to draft my team. So my team, and all the teams are very international, but the event is happening in Mumbai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the event happening in Mumbai, and it is hosted by India, and World Pickleball League is an Indian entity, and they're growing the game at a ridiculously fast pace, but so is Vietnam, so is Australia. Gibraltar, exactly. And the biggest tournament outside of the US right now is actually in England. It's the English Open every summer. And last year we had about 3,000 competitors from 54 countries. So, wow. You know, that's a lot of people that are playing. So it's getting out there.
So just because I'm a bit fascinated with the whole draft system and so on, so you've got your team for India. Tell us a bit about the process of picking the players, people you know. How do you get in touch with some players?
So prior to, we get the whole list of players that have applied for the draft and who are eligible for the draft based on their rankings and whatnot. And I was extremely lucky because I had first round draft pick. And it's a snake draft, right? So you go one.
Whoever goes first has to then wait to go back up.
Yeah.
So.
And then, so I got first pick, then I got 13
all the way
and
down,
14.
then all the way back up,
So I got 13 and 14. And, you know, there's still a lot more men that play pickleball than women. And there were definitely not as many strong women as males. And I already knew who my first round was gonna pick. I've played with her before. When I played regular pro, we'd played together. And we were at a tournament, and the draft was on a Monday. This was a Saturday. I said, hey, just so you know, I'm drafting you first. I said, and here's a list of players.
Yeah.
Let's pick a team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, she was my first pick. We went through, and we actually got quite a nicely balanced team, and our guys are strong, our girls are strong, and hopefully we'll put in a good showing. So we'll see. It's a different atmosphere than a regular tournament. They put on an event. Like there's lights, there's fireworks, there's you name it. So it's also finding people who can play in that team event environment that's super loud, and you're playing against a clock, not just against an opponent for points, but you're also playing against a time clock. So when the time clock expires, the game is over.
Yeah.
So it's like, can you, in those last 2 minutes, are you the kind of person who is going to crumble, or are you going to step up and play?
Yeah.
You know, because if you're going to crumble, I don't care if you have a 10-point lead, you're going to lose it in those 2 minutes. I don't want you, you know?
That's interesting. I think that works really well with pickleball, because it's a game that often is played a lot in the kitchen, so to speak. So to have a time where you have to, like, you know, either really go for it or lose, I suppose puts pressure on those players that are quite eager to wait around for the right moment, no?
Exactly. And then you also have players who, I mean, and I look at it as like, I think when you're playing sports that have a real-time feedback, so tennis, pickleball, boxing, you know, if you make a mistake, you're told right away you made a mistake. You know, there's no, it's not, you know, and your personality comes out. You can't hide who you are, you know, and I've seen players at, like, when they're up 9-3 or 9-5, 9-6, whatever it is, a game to 11, all of a sudden they play not to lose. Yeah. Or they change their game plan completely and end up losing. And I'm like, remember how you played to get to 9, keep playing that way. Yeah. Keep still playing to win. Don't play hoping, I mean, I got to 9, okay, now, obviously, if I get the ball over, you're going to miss. No, that's not the case.
Is it rather wait for you to make a mistake than I make one?
And I think this sort of team format is going to favor the players that want to go for it, who have sort of ice running through their veins. And it's like, you know what, I don't care if I'm down by 1 point or we're tied, and if I miss this shot, they're up a point, I'm going to go for my shot because I'm playing to win, right? Yeah. So I think it's going to favor those types of players. And that will also favor the fans, because I suppose it's all about making the sport as interesting and as exciting to watch as possible. Absolutely. What's the fan base like in India, I imagine, then, for this? Loud and crazy. It's going to be like any team event, right? Whenever you have a team, now you've got people rallying behind a team. Yeah. And they're going to be louder and more vocal than people rallying against one person, right? So now you've got your team playing, you've got whoever's on the court, your team's rooting for them. You know, and then their families I think a lot of the families are coming over to watch as well, so they'll be there. Plus locals, like my team is the Jaipur Gins, right? They're from Jaipur. So hopefully we'll bring a fan base with us that'll be loud and crazy, and I want our team to walk away as definite fan favorites, hopefully winners. Hopefully bring a trophy as well. But definitely with the biggest fan base and the biggest and the loudest cheers. We've talked a lot about your coaching, your book, but you also, of course, were still #1 female senior ranked player in the sport, MVP in the USA in 2021, 2022 as well, I believe. When I was a regular pro, that was when I was young. That was a few years ago. I mean, how do you still find the balance to compete at such a high level when you are in Gibraltar, you're flying to India, you're coaching, you're co-founder of a major company as well? Is it hard to kind of stay sharp now when it comes to game day? It is. I'm not going to lie. It depends. It depends how much break I have between tournaments and how much time I've had to practice, right? I mean, there are some days when I get out there and it's like, ooh, my hands are slow. I'm like, I need to do something to, you know, but I'm fortunate. I do have, you know, I have a phenomenal team, like Game Changer Events, my partner, who co-founded it with me. Yeah, she's an amazing human and keeps me grounded, because I sort of come to the table with a lot of chaotic ideas. And she's like, what? And I'm like, listen, so we're gonna. She's like, you know, you're playing a match, and I'm like, okay. And then, but also
Yeah.
grounds me during the game, and she's like, hey, what are you doing? Maybe we should do this.
Yeah.
But I do have a team behind me that, you know, that checks on my rehab, checks on you know, whether I'm doing any kind of reflex training and what I'm doing. So there's a lot I do off the court that I never had to do before.
Well, I mean, the science behind recovery now is crazy, really, you know, in terms of all sports, really. Cryo chambers as well. When
Oh,
you
it's
go.
insane. Yeah,
I mean,
and they're
there's
so
so much
cold.
science behind it. I've never been in one. Have you been in one?
I have, and it's the same as going into a cold plunge. And it's like, you know, I'd rather go into a sauna than a cold plunge, but the benefits of a cold plunge.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I had Tyron Buttigieg, the boxer, here recently, and he does them too. And I asked him, what's tougher, that or the actual boxing fight? And he said he thinks the cryo chamber is probably harder than the boxing match.
It's the
because of
mental.
how cold it is.
Yeah, and it's it's the first time you're like, it can't be that bad,
Yeah.
no? And you're like, vámonos. And then the second time, now you already know.
Yeah.
So now mentally you're like, oh, I could psych myself out. But you don't.
Yeah, no, it's just as hard. So let's talk about the competitive league then. I mean, what are your hopes and aspirations for 2026 on the court?
I'd like to retain my ranking. That would always be fun, right? It's but I'm also well aware when you're at the top, there's only one way you can go. I can't go 1 star.
Yeah.
It goes down. And there's some new players coming in that are very, very good, that are going to pose some challenges and some obstacles. But, you know, I've got great partners. We have a great chemistry. I played singles this year, which was on a bet. And stupid, but I am enjoying singles. But it allows me to eat more, so that's my rationale, because I'm burning more calories playing singles.
I was going to say, I mean, I've only played pickleball a handful of times, and when there's not enough people to play pairs, and I have played singles, I mean, it feels like a completely different game to play in pairs.
And as small as the court is, it's ridiculous how much you're moving.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite rude.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit like tennis, I suppose, when I watch how quick they get from one side of the court to the other to return the ball. In pickleball, it's like that. I mean, you have to be really sharp and fit to get, for how small the court is, like you said, from get one side to the other to return the ball is extremely difficult.
And it's not very forgiving in the sense of like you have to, especially I think, I mean, in doubles you've got to be precise too, but in singles you have to be even more precise because there's no forgiving shots. If I lift the ball just a little bit, you're going to step in and put it away before I've even had a chance to recover, right? So there's very little sort of, oh, if I hit this shot, it gets me back into the rally.
Yeah.
You know, every shot has to be a precise, good shot. So therefore, my rallies last very, 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 you know, they're very short. Yeah. I'm like, anything over 5 balls, I'm like, listen, you can have the point. You deserve it.
Need to rest.
Yeah. I'm like, you did good.
Is it weird when you're considered a top coach yourself and you're playing? I imagine you have a coach as well. How does that work? I mean, what's that dynamic like when you're a coach yourself, or you've got someone coaching you on a game that you're playing?
It's like at the beginning, I think I fought it quite a bit. I'm like, oh, why are you telling me? I already know what I'm, you know, but you don't. It's like, yeah, I'm the national coach, and I coach all the youngsters coming up. And then when I'm playing, it's funny because they'll come watch, and they're like, Lee, have you thought about doing this? And I'm like, oh, you did listen to things I told you. Great. So then it's like, okay, good at least. But no, I do have a coach, and it's more for calming, for just, you know, because the decisions you're making, you already know what you need to do. And sometimes it's that nod of, when you're in the thick of things, sometimes like they say, you can't see the forest for the trees, right? But when you've got a coach who's sitting on the outside, they can be like, hey, have you noticed that your opponent's missed the last 3 backhands down the line? I'm like, yeah, I probably should have paid attention to that. You know, I'm like, I noticed, but I didn't really notice, if that makes sense, right? So it's more like a check and balance and a nudge. And it's nice to have somebody in your corner that you can just look over to, and who's that calming force in the middle of the chaos that you're in, right? Going, hey, it's okay, or you're doing good, or whatever.
Takes out of your own head a little bit.
Sí, desde luego. And not only that, it's like if I'm playing you and you have a coach and I'm by myself, it's like you feel like you're playing against 2 people instead, and you're out there by yourself, and you're like, well.
Sometimes you just want to feel a
friendly
on your
face.
shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, but I think in doubles, not so much, because you've got your partner on the court. But in singles, it's like, you know, I think your insecurities come and you're like, oh, what about myself?
Yeah. I think I wanted to bring out the pro side of things, because it is a growing sport. But I mean, it's quite risky to, I suppose, take it on and choose it as a profession. But you're proving that there's a lot of options outside of being just a player, with coaching, of course, your game changer events too. Is that kind of something you want to instill in society, that you can pick up pickleball and there's a lot of opportunities available that don't involve necessarily being on the court?
Absolutely. It's like any sport, right? It's like if you love a sport, it's like, I mean, like, or tennis, basketball, whatever. It's like you could really love the sport, and if you're not good enough to go pro, there are other avenues that you can explore. And with pickleball, I've been very fortunate. Like, it's like my sponsors, you know, they take care of a lot of the bills and they pay me to hit a plastic ball, and I'm very, very fortunate for that. And it gives me the opportunity to create game changer events, to do my speaking engagements, to write a book, to do X, Y, and Z, because I've got the time. It's not like I'm playing and now going to a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm very fortunate in that regards. And the money that's come into the sport now is allowing a lot of players to play professional pickleball. But there's definitely a lot of avenues, you know, like there's a need for great coaches.
Yeah.
Because it is still, especially this side of the pond, right? In Europe, it's still a fairly new sport. So we do need good coaches if we want to grow the sport the right way. If we do, you know, you still need tournament directors who want to host. You can get into tournament hosting.
Yeah.
You know, you can get into, exactly. There's so many ways. It's like insane. It's like, you know, I have a 10-court facility. Well, how many tournaments a year can I put in here? What, you know, and there's ways to do things, and there's ways to stay active in the sport, even though you may not be at the top of the sport.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because, I mean, at the end of the day, not all of us can be professional athletes.
Of course, a very small percentage is going to make it to the top.
But we can still be involved on the professional side of things, or the recreation, or the club, or the resort, you name it. There's so many avenues that it's like, if you're passionate about something, I say, go for it, because you can find an area that you can work in if you love it, and then you don't work a day in your life.
Yeah, true. That's how I feel.
Right?
Coming to work.
See?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a perfect end, I think, to part one. Lee, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. In part two, we'll be joined by the Gibraltar Pickleball President of the Association, Guy Valarino. Welcome back to the Sports Talker. We're talking all things pickleball with the world #1 senior player, author, businesswoman, you name it, Lee. And we're now joined by the Pickleball Association from Gibraltar President, Guy Valarino. Guy, thank you for joining us for part two.
Thanks for having me.
Every time she's here, we make the most of it, take advantage of it the best we can. We've had her do coaching clinics with the players. Now you're doing a coaching clinic for the coaches. Tell us a bit about that and what it would entail.
So it's at the association, we're always being approached by new players and asking us, you know, I want to try out this new sport. How does it go? And we kind of wing it. You know, we've learned, we did the clinic.
YouTube tutorials.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all sort of like, the more we play, we sort of learned the rules, but we haven't got anything official. So I always make it very clear, no, like we can show you the rules, etc., more or less generally how to play, but let you know that we're not officially coaches, and we really want to change that. And Lee is going to run this course for us, which is a recreational coaching course, and now we'll be able to feel a little bit more confidence in what we do, and we're showing people how to play this fantastic sport.
It's a recreational coaching course, but it's not an easy coaching course. Lee, you made that clear when we were having the break.
No, I mean, yes. It's look, it's for the rec player, and it's about, you know, can you teach beginners, can you teach advanced beginners the rules, the fundamentals correctly, technical and tactical, right? And it's and I love the fact that we want to grow the coaching side of things in Gibraltar, because there's definitely, we can grow. If we have coaches, we can grow the game. If we don't have coaches, we can't grow the game. But that doesn't mean everybody can coach.
It must feel. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, go on. And it's you know, I don't want to fail people, but I always say, any coaching course I do, I'm like, I'm not here to fail you. You'll end up failing yourself. So, sorry. You did it, not me.
Yeah. I was going to say, it must feel quite special for you to, because you've been playing pickleball for a long time now, but it's only over the last few years that it's really taken off or become an official association in Gibraltar. It must feel quite special for you to be able to be a part of something that's so special to you, like pickleball, here in your hometown.
Look, anything that I can do in Gibraltar is always going to be special, right? And it's like Guy and I've had, you know, we've had countless talks about pickleball and growing pickleball and how can we do it. And, you know, I'm fortunate that he fell in love with pickleball, and we get to do this together and get to grow it and see where we take it from here. But yeah, no, it's anything in Gibraltar is special.
I wanted to mention the fact that you will hopefully have new coaches if they pass the grading. Does that open possibilities and opportunities to attract a younger audience? Because I imagine parents will want to bring kids into a sport where they know they're going to have the right coaching and so on. So does that open more possibilities to attract now kids to the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is part of the reluctance to sort of take on younger players at the moment, because we want to make sure we're giving them the right advice and coaching them correctly. So yes, now being able to bring in and sort of start to build the youth part of pickleball in Gibraltar is going to be key.
And facilities have played a big part, because now you've got the Muga as well, which has offered more courts there. Tell us a bit about the courts, because, and I mean, how picky can players be? Because the courts at Europa Point is completely different to the courts at Muga. You as a professional, I mean, what's good, what's bad, what works, what doesn't?
Look, I mean, if you look at this, the courts at Europa, right? That's where pickleball was 8 years ago in the States. We were all playing on basketball floors, we were playing in gym floors, right? And then we got dedicated facilities, and it's more of a tennis court surface, right? Which is similar to Muga.
Yeah.
So that's now what is standard across the board. Most tournaments are there, but because space is limited in a lot of countries, you know, we do play on basketball courts, we do play on different things. You just have to change the ball.
Tell us a bit about the rapid growth of pickleball. We spoke about it in Gibraltar. You're off to India, where it's growing massively as well. Why do you think it's growing so rapidly now? It's one of the fastest growing sports, I believe, along with paddle as well.
Yeah, in the States, it's definitely the fastest growing sport, and in the rest of the world, it's sort of paddle and pickleball are in this race. Look, to set it up, it's a lot more cost effective. There's very little barrier to entry, right? A paddle ball, you've got one working eye and one working hand. You've got some sort of hand-eye coordination, you can play, right? Technically, it's not that hard to get started, right? To get better, then you get into the technical aspects, and yes, you know, as you progress through it. But anybody can play it. It's multi-generational. So, you know, in the States, it's, you know, my oldest student, I always say, is 93 years old.
Wow.
And she's still alive, and she plays, you know, 4 or 5 times a week. But you can go old with young. Different levels can play together, which is harder to do in other sports. So, and because the court is so small, it becomes very social, and it gives adults, like we talked about earlier, the ability to play again, right? So, you know, getting the younger audience involved in Gibraltar and getting more players involved in Gibraltar. For me, selfishly, I want to see that happen, because we have the European Championships this year, we have World Championships this year, and there's a lot of tournaments in Spain that I want to put a Gibraltar team together so we can go play and in typical Janito style.
So is that what you were talking about before? I mean, all of these competitions
game plan.
coming up.
Yeah,
it's
the game plan.
This is the game plan.
I'm like, but I work on this so we can play next.
This is why you're president and everything. No, the first name on the team sheet is going to be...
Yeah.
That's why I do it.
Yeah. He's like, but tú me vas a fichar, ¿no? Digo, claro.
Sí, yeah. It's a bit like your draft for India.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pero más de caro.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about that. I mean, the opportunity, because you've been an official association now for what, a year and a half?
A year and a bit, yeah.
A year and a bit, and I suppose a lot of associations go through a lot of hard work to be able to compete at European level, like Rugby Europe, for example, with Gibraltar Rugby. And now at your doorstep, I mean, you started off as a hobby, now you're president, now you're going to be leading Gibraltar into European competitions.
I mean, I'm not quitting my day job. It's still, you know, it's still very much a recreational thing for us. You know, we've got to be realistic. At the moment, it's about growing the game locally, and of course, having the ambitions like what Lee's talking about. But it's one step at a time. At the moment, there's a limited pool of players in Gibraltar. I'd like to see that grow, so as we can be in a position whereby we can say we can actually, you know, put together a team. Lee can help us doing that to see if we can actually make a mark on the European circuit. But at the moment, it's small fry at the moment. Please, let's go easy.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
But I would say one of the unique things about pickleball tournaments is, like, yes, I play pro pickleball, but the pro pickleball sits on top of amateur tournaments. The world's they're amateur, right? So you have different levels and different ages that compete. So, for example, this year the European Championships were in the Colosseum in Rome.
Wow.
Like, how cool. I saw the photos, I'm like, why didn't we put a team together? How
you should
cool
be advertising that on the Pickleball Instagram page.
You're signing up tomorrow, aren't you?
Join Pickleball. You could be competing in the Colosseum next year.
I mean, how cool is that to think, you know? I mean, that's a pretty epic sight to hit a plastic ball on, right?
Yeah.
But there's different levels, right? It's not all pickleball competition is at the pro level internationally.
But like anything, no, you learn how to play by playing in these competitions. So if we're able to put a team together and go and play, why not? You know, it's only going to grow the game. It's also worth mentioning that Lee's advice, it was important that we got into the Global Pickleball federation as well. So on at least we have access to all of these tournaments as well, not just in Europe. So that's been a great string to our bow.
Well, it seems like the sport's definitely got a very bright future ahead. Guy, thank you so much for joining us for this second part. Lee, thank you so much
Thank you for
for
having
being
me.
here and giving
Always
us
a
your
pleasure.
time. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That's it for this week's Sports Talker. Thank you for watching at home. We'll see you again next week at the same time.